So the podcast think they got us. Do they got us?
No!
Even though we ain't got hats or t-shirts, we're a podcast just by saying so. We are Baconsale. Yay!
I want to do more. We are Baconsale.
I know you did.
We're going to see Baconsale.
I think it's going to happen.
I cannot believe. First of all, listener, I'm Joel.
I'm Kent.
And Jacob.
We want to thank you for the very generous donations we've gotten so far. We've gotten over a quarter of the way there, and it's only been 3 days.
It's strange to think that this is in the top 5 of worst things I've ever done in my life. But people are helping out in that.
It's amazing to me. And thank you so much for those that have donated. It really is kind of you. Like we said, we know it's a dumb cause, but it really is fun. And we're going to take the pictures. That's going to be our new banner on our Facebook page, on our baconsale.com page. We're going to make it all about Kate Beckinsale because that's kind of what the podcast is about.
Right.
Well, not about, but
the name's about.
Yeah. Right. And we're going to try and get a soundbite from her to put on the show. Like, really, we're going to use this experience to give back to you.
Are we?
Well, we're going to talk about it on the 50th
I think we
show.
are. I think we are. Yeah.
I'm just going for like a kiss on the cheek or something. I don't know.
Man. If she kissed me on the cheek.
Oh, you think she'll kiss you? I'm just going to try to kiss her.
I'm going to wear my best aftershave.
I'm putting on some Axe.
Oh, you're going to scare her away.
I'm sending her a script of this conversation.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, we are doing a GoFundMe to see Kate Beckinsale at the Salt Lake Comic Con. I don't remember what day it is, like March 24th or 26th?
March 26th is the exact day.
The con runs 24th, 26th. She's only there on Saturday. So we've already got enough. If we get a certain amount, we can do the photographs. If we get another certain amount, we can do the autograph. If we get another certain amount, we can do matching T-shirts. So there are tiers here.
You get more than that, then she's going to come record with us on Sunday. So,
Jake, make that happen.
All right.
Oh, man. But, yeah, just thank you again. And if you haven't donated, go to our GoFundMe page. It's called Send Baconsale to Meet Beckinsale. Or you can look at it on our Facebook page or at baconsale.com. We have the links there.
It's like I said, it's so tacky, but thank you for helping us in this tacky behavior.
I'm floored that we might actually meet Kate Beckinsale.
We're going to at this point.
Yep.
Presuming none of us get hit by a bus or she doesn't end up canceling. Like, all these worst case scenarios are going through my head because it doesn't seem real that I could meet my number one celebrity crush.
Right. And if she cancels,
I love my wife.
Thanks for the money.
Yes.
Yes.
One more thing I wanted to bring up. Thank you to Drew making some great comments on the baconsale.com page about our TV show episode.
Oh, with the pitches.
Yeah, let's hear
Drew
these.
actually gave some of his own, which I wanted to read off now. Just real brief. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he talked about Golden Babies, which is like a sequel to a reboot of Muppet Babies when they're old. He talked about Clarissa Retains It All because apparently she solves mysteries and things like that. Dinosaurs, Jurassic Park. They bring back the dinosaurs because, they caused the Ice Age in that final episode. It was really depressing.
Really depressing.
And Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Oh, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was his last one on there.
But Sabrina the Middle-Aged Witch is...
Yeah, he did it.
Right?
Sabrina the Middle-Aged Witch is the one that he did here. He pitched it. And then,
Can we just call it Sabrina the Cougar Witch?
Oh, and he has one more, too.
Oh,
That'd
that's
be a good
better.
one. And My Two Baby Daddies.
That's actually
Which
great.
I forgot about My Two Dads.
Yeah.
So fun to remember that episode. So thank you, Drew, for that
How
comment.
could you forget your dads?
I know. But we love comments on baconsale.com and on Facebook and on Twitter. So thank you for participating because we love to get your feedback. It means you're actually listening.
Like, we want you to listen to us and hear all of our great ideas.
Yes.
Sometimes you guys may have them yourselves.
Sometimes you may have better ideas.
It's crazy. The listener knows.
Right. So thank you, listener.
So what are we talking
Let's
about
get
today,
started.
Jacob?
We're going to talk, the second half of Disney live-action movies.
It was about 7 weeks ago that we did the
Was it
first
that
first
long?
part. Well,
Yeah.
ish.
This is Kent's favorite type of movie to prepare or study and
I was actually
and
really
show to
mad
prepare
about this
for.
because I had 9 movies to watch. I felt like we were doing the Oscar challenge all over again, except for I didn't have like Oscar-winning movies to look forward to. I had The Cat from Outer Space to watch.
Well, we had to like
Davy.
we got a variety, and we did
Davy Crockett.
actually choose some movies from the listener, and we are going to incorporate those here. But I would like to emphasize once again, we're not going to get through all of them because there are a ton. We have a list of about 34. But there are more live-action Disney movies out there. So if by the end we have not talked about your favorite one, let us know about it on Facebook.
And it's too late.
If we get enough, we may do a number 3 where Kent and I watch all the movies we haven't
Please
seen.
no.
Kent would love that.
And so we're going to do tier 1, 2, 3. Tier 1 obviously being the best. Tier 3 the absolute worst.
So if you want to drag this on, Joel, so Ken has to do it again, just answer really slowly.
No.
All right. Let's start. Let's go.
I'm going to start with one
Before we start, can I make some apologies?
to me?
No.
For what you
To
did?
me?
To some movies, because after watching all these old movies, I was like, I was pretty harsh on some of those Disney movies. The first go.
part one?
Yeah. So real quick,
So by comparison, are you going to retroactively re-rate?
I'm retroactively rating George of the Jungle a tier 2 instead of a tier 3
Wow.
because it's a better movie than a tier 3. Holes, I rated a tier 2. It's now a tier 1.
Wow. So the curve is really pulling some of these up.
And Tron, tier 2, is easily a tier 1.
Have you watched that lately?
In the past 5 years, yes. But compared to the movies I have seen in the past 2 weeks, it's a tier 1. Anyways, let's move on. Sorry.
Okay. I'm glad you felt the need to adjust those. All right, Jacob, let's get on this.
All right, let's start with a classic that I have not seen, Swiss Family Robinson,
Swiss
1960.
Family Robinson. Can I? I'll start off.
Yeah.
So this is.
And tell us what it's about so that...
No, it's weird that people don't know this one as much anymore. This used to be like a staple of Disney. Like they had the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse at Disneyland, and
Which is now Tarzan's treehouse.
Exactly. They kind of morphed it. And apparently the location where they shot this used to be a very popular tourist spot. People don't even care about it anymore. Swiss Family Robinson is a classic. The location, it's Trinidad and Tobago, and it is amazing. It is beautiful. The sets are so impressive. It's a giant treehouse, functioning treehouse. And it's impressive and slow at the same time. And I love how they used real animals. It's not all these CGI animals. Like at one point they have a dog wrestling with a tiger.
Was that real?
That was real. And so probably wouldn't get away with it now, but it was still just like, whoa, is that happening on screen?
They actually lost 12 dogs doing that scene.
I'm sure they did.
It's actually sad it's forgotten. I think that this is such an endearing movie. It's a tier 1.
So basically a family gets shipwrecked.
Yes.
It's a Robinson Crusoe story.
Yes.
And there are pirates that kind of keep coming back to...
The pirates are trying to loot their ship, and then once
Right.
they destroy the ship, they try to find the people on the island.
Okay, so is this a good movie?
It is. It actually is. It's well made. It's slow. I said that it's a great movie even if you fall asleep while watching it. Because it's a really solid film, even if the pacing's a little slow, especially at the beginning. It takes forever for it to get
Please
going.
say tier 1, and then Kent will say.
I did say tier 1.
It's garbage.
I
you
said
did?
tier 1, yeah.
Oh.
I think this is one of Disney classics, and so I'm going to say tier 1.
This is chicken soup for the Disney live-action soul. like Joel said, this is, even if you do fall asleep, there's an action scene at the end where people are dying
Yeah.
in pretty horrific ways.
Yeah.
Like,
Really?
it's like Home Alone before there was Home Alone, really.
Well, the weird thing about it, too, is I know I watched this as a kid, but there were so many parts I didn't remember. And then something come up, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that part, but then, like, nothing for a while there. So it was really fun to watch it almost with fresh eyes as an
Didn't
adult.
you feel like the girl who they find...
Yes.
Don't you feel like she was
Spoiler
kind of
alert.
she was a tease
For
to
1960?
both the boys? Because there's a love triangle going on. And she teased both guys. They're brothers.
I don't think she really knew what to do. I mean, you're stranded on a desert island. Your grandpa's captured by pirates. You're going to hit on every boy there. So
Yeah.
What did you
keep
rank
your
it?
options open.
It's a tier 1.
What?
I did not expect that from you.
It's a super likable movie. Even though I was a little bored, I was like, okay,
All right,
I can see
listener.
why I liked this when I was a kid.
We have just recommended a movie from 1960. If you have not seen it, you can add that
Heaven
to your
forbid
list.
we recommend things like
I like
Psycho.
a movie before 1980.
I know, right? I mean, mostly Kent is what I mean by that. That's the remarkable part.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's do The Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes. That's 1969.
The Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes, this is a Kurt Russell movie. There was a time where he was Disney's golden boy.
Dexter Riley.
Was it Dexter Riley?
That's his character's name. This
Okay.
is the first in the Dexter Riley series.
And so I think he was in a few more Disney movies, but he had like a trilogy where basically he gained a special ability
Yep.
in each movie.
Yep.
And in this one, he gets electrocuted in a lab. Basically, it's a room full of one computer. And he's going to go to like a geography bee or something like that the
Yeah.
next day. And he gets electrocuted, and the computer, which the university did not want to pay for because they did not believe in the future,
No.
becomes Kurt Russell. So Kurt Russell has all the information of the internet.
I remember seeing a remake like this, but it was the internet.
That was the Flash, where he gets struck by lightning in the lab and gets super speed.
No,
No, it's not.
there's like a made-for-TV movie in the
Gorilla
90s.
Grodd
I
from The
believe
Flash.
there actually was a Computer Wore Tennis Shoes reboot in
Yeah.
the 80s or the 90s.
I think the 90s. Yeah, I remember seeing that as a
was
kid.
right.
And so basically, he is able to cheat his way through like every single university competition.
I love that you say cheat because it's so true.
No, this movie is all about cheating. In fact, even in the end, when he starts to lose his power, spoiler alert, like he still basically helps his team win. And the only reason they do win in the end is because his friend answers a really dumb question. And it kind of validates everything that happened before.
Cheating is okay because we didn't cheat at the very end.
But it's kind of weird because, and this is going to be a common theme, there are like these organizations in each of these movies that want to use this power for evil.
Well, that's normal.
Whether it's like the mob or the government or whatever. This is a tier 3 for me.
Tier 3?
Yeah, it's a tier 3.
You were talking about it like you
harsh.
enjoyed it.
Like, it's so stupid that I didn't care for it.
No, and I have a special place in my heart for the Dexter Riley ones. For some reason, I shouldn't say really enjoy them. I enjoy them. But this isn't a great movie, but I don't think it's a tier 3. I gave this one tier 2 simply because it's enjoyable, it's stupid, but it's not great and it's not bad. It's kind of that middle of the road thing. Also, fun fact, Medfield College is featured in the Dexter Riley ones, and that's the same university from Absent Minded Professor. Like, they took that university.
Okay.
And
That's a cinematic universe right there.
yeah, they started creating that.
Huh.
So, tier 2. I'm mediocre on it.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys ready for a classic?
Yes.
You mean
1950.
these are all going to be classics.
Treasure Island.
Oh, the very first Disney live-action film. I watched this movie for the first time, I realized, for this show. And it actually holds up pretty well. I like the novel. I've been a fan of the novel for a while now.
Does this follow the novel well?
Well, it follows it close enough. Like, it does a good job of the novel kind of condensing it all together in a little movie. And some say that Robert Newton's portrayal of Long John Silver is what created the whole "Arr, I'm a pirate" kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Like they said, the one leg, the parrot, the talking like that, a lot of it came from this performance. And I think it's a classic. I think it deserves to be among the pantheon of great Disney films simply because it was, the first one, but it is a little bland. And so I'm going to give it a tier 2.
It is really quite bland. I think his performance as Long John Silver holds up the movie because there's so many... What, really? Because there's not much going on. It's just kind of like betrayals going back and forth, and you don't know who to trust.
Long John Silver is the villain you love to hate. Like, he's that bad guy who you like.
But even in the end, you're like, I guess I just like him.
But he's still a bad guy. That's why he's... I liked it because it's not this white hat versus black hat kind of thing. It's like Long John Silver, you go back and forth on whether you like him or not. Like, he's a complete villain. No, he's Jim Hawkins' friend.
Right.
Which, by the way, Jim Hawkins, Bobby Driscoll, the kid that played him, was both the voice and the reference for Peter Pan. And
really?
If you go back and look at it, you could see it in like his eyebrows and his eyes. It looks like Peter Pan.
No, I haven't seen this, but this sounds pretty much like Johnny Depp's character in Pirates, right?
Well, Johnny Depp is much more... He's a scoundrel, but he's not a villain. Long John Silver is a villain.
Straight villain.
Like, he intends on killing and plundering and doing what he can to get ahead.
Right.
This movie also kind of not this movie, but the book popularized like the black spot and things like that. All these pirate tropes that we think about.
Right.
But that's really more the book.
I wanted more from this, like actual pirating rather than just a weird siege on an island. In a cabin. There was just
there was mutiny.
It was pretty bland, so I give it a tier 2.
Tier 2s?
We agree then.
We agree.
Nice.
We came from different angles, but we ended up at the same place.
Exactly.
All right, let's go to The Lone Ranger from just a few years ago.
Lone Ranger came out in 2013.
Joel, did you watch this in the theater, though?
No.
Based on Joel's reaction, he really enjoyed this.
I can tell.
This is one that Kent made me watch.
He made you watch all of them, and you made him watch all of them.
No. This is one that he said we have to include this one.
Well, we did.
Well, that's true.
Because I think this truly shows how Disney errors when they're not making Marvel movies or Star Wars movies.
Now they kind of lost their touch. Is what you're saying?
Absolutely. And we'll get to this with another one of their recent live-action movies as well. They want to go big. They want to make it a blockbuster. They got Gore Verbinski, which, he proved himself with the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. And he had Johnny Depp. I mean, what could go wrong? Except for the entire movie.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
This movie was pushed back so much and gone through so many script rewrites that it didn't really form a complete picture in the end. Like, it was half supernatural, half revenge story, half comedy.
I remember there was like 15 minutes through the movie. I was like, this 15 minutes is okay. And like, that was it. Like, it was not...
Are you ranking first or am I?
Oh, I'll rank first. It's a tier 3.
Because I completely agree. This is a tier 3. This movie is one big misfire. Nothing works. The jokes fall flat. The action scenes are boring. The protagonist is a whiny idiot. Johnny Depp is just this cliche it really was bad. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, what is wrong with this movie? And I couldn't put my finger on it because it just felt like it was just constantly out of step.
Yes.
The only thing I liked was the William Tell overture, like that dun 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 dun.
Right.
When it
on the
kicked
train
in.
right at the end.
Yeah, and I was like, when it kicked in, I was like, well, that's kind of fun, but then the action was still very bland.
They tried to do a Batman Begins sort of thing where you don't actually see him become the hero for like an hour and a half.
Oh, God.
And it works in Batman Begins. This one, you're like, I don't really care about your protagonist.
No.
Like,
and it's way too long, too. They could have cut this down so easily, and everything just seemed drawn out. I'm like, put on the mask, be the hero. Ugh.
Yeah, this
it bugged me.
It was terrible.
I was also really sad that I can't remember her name, the actress in it from Luther.
Yeah.
I mean, like when the movie first came out, I was like, oh, good, she's going to become a star now. And then the movie was such a horrendous flop. That,
No, and this didn't do wonders for Armie Hammer. It didn't do anything for Johnny Depp. It's just...
But Helena Bonham Carter really took off because of this movie.
Stop.
Davy Crockett, 1955.
Davy.
Joel, why don't you kick off?
Davy Crockett, king of the wild frontier.
And the River Pirates.
And River Pirates. Yeah, this movie is funny because it actually was a TV series. They did like this Davy Crockett special on not on the Disney Channel, but on the Disney Sunday Movie or whatever they called it back then, Disney World of Color. But they did these 3 episodes of this Davy Crockett story, and it did so well that they ended up smashing them together into one long movie. And then that did so well, and that started the Davy Crockett craze of the 1950s when everyone was wearing coonskin caps and singing Davy Crockett songs. That
I had a coonskin cap when I was a kid.
Yeah,
We all did. Of course you did.
I know.
Yeah, you grew up
right?
with the Amish.
Yeah.
But that they ended up making a sequel, which is funny considering, spoiler alert, for historians out there, Davy Crockett dies at the end of the first one.
Well, in fact, at the end of episode 3, so at the end of the
Alamo.
first movie...
In the basement of the Alamo, it's where he dies.
The basement?
Yeah.
We need to find this place. He dies in the Alamo.
Yeah.
And then they're like, let's make a prequel. Like, this is a movie that
Which
was like...
we didn't watch the prequel. We just watched Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
You can tell there's a clear cut at the end of every 30 minutes where it's all burner, burner, and then all of a sudden it seems like a new episode
Like
starts.
they put up a title card,
and that's
or
how the
something like
movie goes.
But it's not a bad movie. Can I give a little personal anecdote real quick?
Sure.
So all the time growing up, for a long time growing up, I was told that I was related to Davy Crockett by my mother. And I bragged about this. I'm like, I'm related to Davy Crockett. Then, not too long ago, maybe a couple years, I looked at my family history tree and I found out that I'm related to David Crockett, who is not Davy Crockett. I then brought this to my mom and I said, Mom, you lied to me. And she's like, no, we're related. I'll prove it to you. She still hasn't. So I just want to put that out there that I may or may not be related
To David.
to David Crockett. To Davy Crockett.
Mr. David Crockett.
Which I learned actually a couple things about Davy Crockett from this movie. It wasn't entirely factual, but like some things I was like, oh, I didn't know that about him. Like it really kind of helped me know more about him. I was worried for a while there that he was going to be a Yancey character from Cimarron, as we talked about in our best pictures. Which
Right.
we hated that know-it-all, braggart character. And I was worried he was going to become that. But then in the end, he's Davy Crockett, and it was fine, and I was okay with it. So I'm going to give this one a tier 2.
I lean towards tier 3.
You lean towards it, or you're giving it a tier 3?
Like, I want to say tier 2, but most of these movies do become tier 2s for me. If I was being harsh, I would say tier 3. The whole movie throws me off because there are 3 specific acts that are completely different. There's a war against the Indians, which is very violent.
Yep.
He goes to Congress, and then he goes to the Alamo.
Mr.
Like,
Crockett
it
goes to
felt
Washington.
so disjointed that I just
But
didn't...
Kent, he killed him a burr when he was only 3. David Crockett.
The song's great, his character's fun, and his sidekick is really fun. But
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I can say for the whole thing.
So you're giving this a tier 2 or tier 3?
You're making me want to watch it, honestly.
What's
Ken.
your official ruling?
Describe it.
3. I'm going with 3.
You just want to be mean.
Yeah.
3. I'm mad.
America. You hate America.
3. I've always been a Daniel Boone fan.
You'll... All right.
No one's a Daniel Boone fan.
Watcher in the Woods.
Watcher in the Woods.
I already know how you guys feel about this one from
A
1980.
movie that terrified every elementary school kid for years.
We won't spend too much time on this because we did back in Halloween.
We did.
It came out in 1980. It's the story of a teenage girl and her little sister who become encompassed in a supernatural mystery regarding a missing girl in the woods surrounding their new home in the English countryside.
Wow, good pitch there.
Well, it's from my IMDb, so,
Yeah, keep that up then. I don't have any of those. And actually, it was pitched to Disney executives stating, quote, this could be our Exorcist.
What?
That's
like,
how,
did people want an exorcist?
That's how the producer pitched it to the executives. I don't know why, but, So this was made in 1980. This still creeps me out. And, when it was released in 1980, it actually got pulled from theaters a week later because they had to rework the ending. There are like multiple endings for this.
There
for
are,
this movie.
one of which you've explained.
One of
They
which I
changed the
already talked
ending after it hit theaters?
It hit theaters.
Well, that's crazy.
They pulled it, reshot stuff, put it back in theaters. They wanted to get it out in time for Betty Davis's 50th year of acting or something like that. So they kind of rushed it, and then they realized, no, we got to pull this back. It still creeps me out, but it's not a great movie, so I'm going to give this a tier 2.
I'm giving it a tier 1.
You would, because this is their Exorcist.
Based on the nostalgia and the fact that Disney pulled off horror well.
What was wrong with Disney in the early 80s?
There was a lot wrong.
No, like almost every movie from like 79 to 85 is like dark Disney.
And this is a movie that, like, everyone, at least locally here, has seen this movie multiple times.
We watched it at our sleepovers.
It is part of our childhood.
Tier 1.
Tier 1.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, guys. Tell me about the cat from outer space.
I've been waiting to tell you about the cat from outer space.
I'm genuinely, interested right now. Like, what on earth?
Kent, you've already expressed your opinion. You
what
want to
on outer
further it?
space?
Cat from outer space is seriously a cat from outer space. A UFO crash lands, and there is a cat who mind talks to you, and he basically finds a human that he
We call that
communicates to.
telepathy.
Telepathy.
Yeah, it's not called mind talk anymore, Kent. That's so 1970.
I call it Jacob and his werewolves talking to each other.
Jacob on the show or Jacob in Twilight?
Jacob and Twilight.
I like the idea of Jacob over here talking to werewolves.
That happens too.
Jacob and his werewolves back at it again.
Yeah.
This cat helps this guy and basically convinces him that he's an alien because he helps him gamble.
No, okay. The cat crash lands on Earth. Part of his spaceship is missing or broken, so he needs to fix it, but he needs gold to do that.
So he has to gamble.
So he has to gamble to get gold. I was actually surprised by the amount of gambling and drinking in this Disney children's film of 1978.
70% of this movie is hustling and gambling.
It is, and they cheat. They cheat to win.
Much like the computer who wore tennis shoes, this movie's all about cheating, and then, of course, the government's trying to figure out what's really going on.
Yes.
Do we need to get this cat? And it ends in, like, the most ridiculous chase possible.
This sounds so absurd.
At the end of the movie,
but
they make this cat a United States citizen.
They do, because he falls in love with the girl cat.
This is ridiculous.
Okay, here's what the cat can do, though. The cat has powers, Jacob. The cat can freeze people and levitate people. And
Wow.
levitate things.
So, like, say you're watching a basketball game, and someone is about to miss a dunk. Even if someone's falling, the cat will go, and have, like, a necklace that will
the
glow.
collar will glow.
And yeah, it was a collar. And then all of a sudden the basketball player will float back up and then put the ball in the basket.
Yes.
I feel like this should be a Mystery Science Theater like movie.
It should be.
Because
It's a tier 3.
Tier 3. Fine.
We maybe we need to have
take this
a
movie
wing
from
of
my,
our show.
This was a beloved movie from my childhood, and you're giving it a tier 3. You're okay with that?
Yeah.
Good, because I am too.
Yeah.
Why
are you?
I should have left this movie in my childhood. I sat the kids down. I'm like, kids, we're going to watch The Cat from Outer Space. You're going to love it. I put it on, and I was sitting there watching the whole time going, this is a one-trick pony, and it's a boring trick. Like, it's the same levitation thing, and then they do this levitation thing for like 10 minutes where they're just floating. It's not good. And there's an airplane chase that is insanely
end,
long.
yes.
And it's ridiculous. This movie is a tier 3, and I'm sad that I watched it because it ruined my childhood.
Wow.
Have you seen his childhood?
Have you seen my childhood?
No.
All right.
Sky High, 2005.
Sky High, 2005. Am I starting this off?
Yes, please.
This is a fun movie. It's one of those ones that you forget that Disney made it because it came kind of before the big superhero craze that we're in now. And it also has my original crush, Linda Carter, in it. I had a huge crush on Wonder Woman.
I think you're going to say Bruce Campbell.
No. Actually, funny story. The young actors all had their own trailer and were generally kept separated because, quote, we did not want them to date after the second week and break up after the fourth.
Wow.
So they kept the kids apart. And I think the kids did good. I think Kurt Russell did good. I like this movie. I'm giving it a tier 1.
That's hilarious. I like that little detail. Yeah.
Did they keep the kids apart?
Don't let them date.
No. That would be bad for filming.
This is Hogwarts for superheroes.
Yeah, it totally is.
And, it's like the two of the biggest superheroes of all time. Their kid doesn't have any powers. He's afraid to tell his parents, and he goes to high school.
Thank you. I keep forgetting to give synopses.
That's usually your thing.
I know.
And that's not my
'cause
thing,
I'm
that's
sick.
for sure.
I'm sick. I can't think straight.
In this movie, I hadn't watched. I never watched it back in the day. And the only reason that Joel was able to convince me to watch it is because it has Mary Elizabeth Winstead in the movie.
Yes.
And I'm a fan, even when she's probably like 19, whatever.
Who is that?
So
19. Yeah, let's say 19. So
let's
it's
say
not creepy.
19.
So it's not creepy? What? I don't know who that is. What else is she from?
She's Scott Pilgrim versus the World. She's
in the Thing
main crush.
remake.
Oh,
She was
okay.
in
Yeah.
Death Proof.
She was in The Interview.
She's in 10 Cloverfield Lane coming
No,
out
she's
next
not in The
week.
Interview. No, sorry. Thinking of someone else.
I'm a big fan of her acting ability.
I'm sure you are. And so you're giving her.
No, and the movie was clever. It
It also
Played on
has
tropes of
Caitlin from Flash.
Yes.
as a younger woman.
and I kind of liked it because it's all about sidekicks and kind of glorifying sidekicks.
Yeah,
It's a tier 2 movie.
you can relate to that you're the sidekick of the show. So
Wow.
Ouch.
To who, Jake?
yes,
You're both sidekicks.
to whoever gets the MVP this week.
Right.
All right.
So I give it a tier 2.
So tier 1, tier 2, I can live with that.
Right.
Angels in the Outfield
Angels in the Outfield.
from 1994.
Yes. So the synopsis: when a boy prays for a chance to have a family. What? Is this for real?
Yes.
It's been a long time. If the California Angels win the pennant, angels are assigned to make that possible. Hold on. I have not seen this movie since 1994.
Yeah,
He prays for a chance to have a family
No,
if
no,
they
no,
win
no,
the
no.
pennant?
No.
Wait. You haven't seen this since 94 and you're going to tear it from your viewing in
I didn't want to rewatch
1994?
this one.
Okay.
'Cause here's the thing. Much like a Cool Running sort of movie, I watched this movie back then and I enjoyed it in a certain way.
Well, yeah, it's going to have a really obvious filter.
It's a foster kid who kind of his dad's a widower, and he talks to him and he says, "When are we going to be a family again?" And his dad says, "I'd say when the Angels win the pennant." And so he takes that as gospel. Joseph Gordon-Levitt takes that as gospel and then starts praying that the Angels will win the pennant. And then the Angels cheat.
I didn't know it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
I cannot get behind a movie that shows
How
Angels.
old is he?
I cannot get behind a movie that shows Angels taking part in dishonest sports cheating.
Alien cats can cheat.
Yeah,
But
they're
not
fine.
angels.
No.
Yeah, and computers that wear tennis shoes.
By the way, did you guys realize that two of the Angels in this movie, Matthew McConaughey and Aidan Brody, would go on to win Academy Awards for Best Actor?
Oh, yeah, that's strange.
Weird, huh?
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Kent?
I'm going to give
Yeah.
this one.
Tier 1.
There's a lot of people who love this movie, and if you say this movie, they'll start waving their arms in the air like I'm doing now.
Because I've never. It does have Joseph Gordon Levitt. It has a really good cast. But it's a tier 3 because I've never
Whoa.
cared to revisit this one. Honestly, I get this movie confused with Little Big League. These movies are interchangeable for me.
All sports movies are interchangeable for you.
Right, but they came
You
out
thought
about
Rudy
the same
was
time.
Hoosiers.
Yeah,
Stop that.
You thought it was the rookie.
Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, rookie of the year. That's what.
Rookie of the Year, indeed.
Yeah.
So I've never cared to go back. I enjoyed it okay at the time, but
Tier 3?
yeah, tier 3.
I'm going to give it a tier 2 because it does have nostalgia for me, and I do remember it very well. I haven't gone back and watched it too many times because it was okay. It's really sappy. But people love it, and it has something endearing about it, so I'm going to give it a tier 2.
All right. Let's talk another Disney flop. John Carter. I'm excited.
Okay. So John Carter is one big mess.
Now, wait, did you watch it in theaters or did you just watch it?
This was another one Kent made me watch.
You saw this in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
So this is fresh in your mind.
This is fresh in my mind, as fresh as a cow pie, because it is one big flop. This is from a 1917 novel that people have been trying to get made for years and years and years.
It's I can't remember the
Edgar
author.
Rice Burroughs. No. Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Author of Tarzan.
Which, but the movie started out, and I have to say this, that it just kind of like starts off and says, Mars is not called Mars. It is called Barsoom. And I'm like, okay, this movie is officially stupid. Right from the beginning. It's like, no, it's called Barsoom. And then it starts throwing so many characters and plot points.
But do you think
and
they're going to call it
planets.
Mars over there?
That's your line?
No, they're
Calling a Mars a different name?
No, but it's not just that. It's the fact that right at the beginning they're like, everything you know is wrong. We call a broom a fargle-bargle. Deal with that. And I'm like,
Scuttle.
what?
Deal with that.
It really, but that just kind of represented the movie for me, that it's like, hey, we're so cool. We're showing you this different world, and we're showing you how different it is. Watch. And then it's just one.
You can jump
big
really high
mess.
because you're stronger here.
Your power is jumping really high. Lesser gravity makes you so powerful. But it was just bland and dull and boring and messy. Like, it really, I kept trying to want to like this movie.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. And I really, I heard people say, oh, it's just, people hate it on it too much. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. No, it is that bad. I will never watch this movie again. It was terrible.
Wait, did you already say your tier?
Tier 3.
Tier 2 for you?
2 or 3.
I think you're being a little harsh.
So's your face.
I think you're being a little harsh.
His face thinks you're being harsh too.
Yeah. It's doing the, like, come on.
This is a
Give
big
it a break.
mess. This is a big mess. My wife watched this because she wanted to see, I just blanked on his name. The guy, Friday Night Lights guy.
Yeah, Gambit.
Yeah, but what's his
Taylor
name?
Kitsch.
No, what's his name in the Rigs? No, shoot, I forgot his name.
John Carter.
No, in Friday Night Lights, he's called something. And
football
they love
player,
him.
number one.
Tim Riggins. And my wife said, "Oh, Tim Riggins is this one? I want to see it." And I said, "There are a lot of good-looking guys in the world." She said, "Yeah, there are a lot of good-looking guys. There's only one Tim Riggins."
Wow.
So she watched this movie. She hated it as well, and she said, "This made me like him less."
You're being harsh.
So's your face.
I think Disney.
Can we quote your wife on Twitter for saying that?
Yeah.
I actually did already. I quoted her on Twitter.
Oh, did you?
You can find the tweet.
If you had the chance to watch this or Lone Ranger again, which one would you prefer?
Lone Ranger,
You're crazy.
I would choose Lone Ranger.
You're absolutely insane.
and I would just
I'm
listen
going to have
to
to
the
go with
score.
Kins on that. That's craziness.
You're nuts. This movie has some merit. I just think Disney dropped the ball because you watch a movie like John Carter, you're like, oh, is this a prequel to Coach Carter? Because it doesn't tell me that's a science fiction movie at all.
Well,
why not call it The Princess of Mars, which is what it was meant to be called?
Princess Barsoom, please.
Or John Carter of Mars.
Barsoom.
Joel. So, also, the problem with this movie is they wanted it to be so epic because really this is the beginning. This is the J.R.R. Tolkien of every sci-fi movie we have now. This is the Star Wars before there was Star Wars. But the thing is, we've seen it done better.
The book may have been.
The origin of this idea is what created what we have seen in better movies, frankly.
No, and I fully acknowledge that I haven't read the novel, but I'm not bad.
Now, when you see this kind of stuff, you're like, oh, it's a typical hero's journey. And honestly, the guy
wasn't
is
bad.
But the guy's Superman. I'm not going to mock the powers because those were Superman's original abilities.
No, I saw that. I saw that parallel where it's like, lesser gravity. He can jump high,
Right.
leap buildings in a single bound.
Exactly.
Which was fine.
I had no problem with that. I actually like the CG. I like the big dumb animal. The problem was,
You mean Taylor Riggs?
yeah.
Tim Riggins, the big dumb animal.
And to be honest, I really like the real world tie-in where you see Edgar Rice Burroughs as a boy, and it's his uncle, right? His uncle is John
Yeah,
Carter.
something like that.
And I like seeing that drawn into the reality of the real written story. And I'm like, I like that world. I just wish this movie were better because it's just average.
It's a mess.
It is not a mess. It's average.
So much clutter.
Yeah.
It's tier 2 for me.
Oh, give me a break.
Not at all.
Yeah. If I was voting, Kent would win.
Yeah.
Good thing you're both wrong then.
High five. Oh, that was a crappy
That was
high
a
five.
really weak high five.
Yeah.
That's
You had to
what you get
reach
for John
across the
Carter high
microwave.
fives.
Yeah,
right.
I found
It was
this
a
movie.
John
This
Carter
movie-
high five.
Yeah, that was
my
a John
God.
Carter.
That's a high five
meaning
from
it
Mars.
failed.
No, but Disney had so much money invested in this
They
movie.
did. And then I don't know what happened, but they just lost faith in it. Probably because they saw the movie.
Well, and it just failed. I mean, now they're only making Marvel and Star Wars movies for a reason because they have a formula that works. Their original stuff isn't working anymore.
John Carter didn't work.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
John Carter and
it
Lone
was
Ranger.
a terrible name. It was terrible marketing. And what's his
It's a
bucket?
terrible movie.
Taylor Kitsch.
No, the director.
What'd I
the
call him? Taylor Riggs?
Nemo guy.
Oh, yeah. Stanton? Andrew Stanton.
No, that's not right, is it?
This is an interesting tangent. Let's follow this down the road.
The director? You don't know the director, Joel?
I
Where are you
don't
at on
care about this movie.
He's the guy who directed Finding Nemo. Like it was like, okay, you can't lose. Was it Stanton?
It's Andrew Stanton.
Okay, sorry. So
This was an interesting tangent.
it
I'm
should
glad
have
we went
worked.
around
No,
this
it
bend.
should have worked. I mean, Finding Nemo. Yeah, I mean, everybody loves that, even if Kent doesn't.
We're not talking about Finding Nemo. We're talking about live action. Move along.
All right, let's talk about John Carter some more.
No.
Seriously, I can't believe you picked Lone Ranger over John Carter.
It's only because of the score. And I could fall asleep during Lone Ranger a lot
Over
easier.
one song in Lone Ranger?
I'm trying to find things good about him, and John Carter had some mild. I'm not talking about this movie anymore. It's stupid. Move on.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, 1954.
1954.
It's a sports movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's all 20,000 baseball leagues under the sea.
Yes. I think that's a joke from like Tiny Toons or something like that. So a ship is sent to investigate a wave of mysterious sinking encounters the advanced submarine, the Nautilus, commanded by Captain Nemo. That was poorly worded, but it is what it is. Basically, there's a really cool submarine led by a megalomaniac captain.
Yeah. Think of like Captain Ahab underwater.
Yes.
That's kind of what it is.
And basically our anchor points, pardon the word, right?
I got you.
Who's our captain?
Nemo.
Nemo, yes.
Yeah. He does a really good job.
He does. You kind of
You like him.
You like him, but you're scared of him.
Yes.
Because the thing is, this guy is... They bring these guys in the ship, and he just keeps getting weirder and weirder and more obsessed and more obsessed. And he plays this really cool organ, too, which is the organ from the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, is it really?
The pipe work is different, but they took that organ, and that's in the Haunted Mansion in the ballroom with all those people dancing. So next time you go to the Haunted Mansion, look for the 20,000 Leagues Under Sea, Captain Nemo's organ.
You like fun facts. Do you know how they filmed this movie? Because much of it's underwater.
I heard that they filmed it actually underwater. I can't remember where, though.
Like with models?
In a
or
cave.
what?
No, in a submarine.
It was in a cave or something like that. They filmed it out. I do know that they had to reshoot the giant squid scene because it was calm waters and you could see all the wires, so they kind of made a storm to make it more tense and hide the wires.
Look, I'll say this. It's a pretty slow movie. You're only watching it really for the acting, which is strange in a Disney movie because they aren't really known for that.
Kirk Douglas.
Yeah, Kirk Douglas.
That's weird.
That is weird.
And he doesn't even play a main character. Like, he's kind of just off to the side.
He's like the Smee.
Yeah, no, it's strange. But when you get to that scene with the squid,
Yeah.
like, it's a huge payoff.
Terrified me as a kid.
Even now.
The squids, like squids with beaks. That beak
Yes.
terrifies me. And you get to see this giant squid beak
Huh.
chomping
All right.
away trying to kill
You
people.
guys going to give us our tiers?
It's really quite effective. I give it a tier 2.
I give it tier 2 as well.
High five.
We're friends
It's
again.
good. It's not great.
Yes.
All right.
And by the way, it's being remade now because it's
really?
Disney.
Yeah, but they're going to change it to the metric system, so it's going to be 20,000 meters into the sea.
That's a really weird joke.
It's a really weird joke.
Tron Legacy from 2010.
On Legacy.
So I redacted my score for Tron, and I gave it a tier 1. Tron Legacy, kind of disappointing.
Well, is it because of Jeff Bridges' face?
It is a lot. A lot of it has to do with his face.
Tron Legacy is essentially the story of Jeff Bridges' son, who ends up getting pulled into the computer and finding his dad, who's also in there.
This is a sequel that we all wanted, and we didn't hate when it came out.
We all want it.
Come on, Tron is a really cool idea.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, it's a good idea. It's a good idea. Execution, but moderate.
I mean, visually, I think it did a really similar thing, though.
groundbreaking.
I think both movies when they came
Both,
out,
yeah.
like even Tron Legacy, what it did for like CG was awesome. Like when they're playing the games,
Oh, I love the light bikes
like
and the discs.
that's pretty much all you want in the movie.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's only about 6 to 7 minutes, but I thought that's where the movie excelled. The problem was kind of the acting from Sam Flynn. It wasn't great, and kind of
You're Jacob yawning in my ears. I wasn't even looking at him. Can't apparently you're going on too long.
And the reason for the story, I didn't really get it. I didn't really care. I actually wanted to see more of actually the character Tron because they made him out to be kind of like a revamped, kind of cool version. And it was more just old Jeff Bridges versus really crappy looking CG Jeff Bridges.
It is.
So I gave it a tier 2.
Okay. I love the look. I love the soundtrack. Like,
Oh, soundtrack is amazing.
I could put that on the background.
The
as
soundtrack's
working.
tier 1.
Oh, the soundtrack is tier 1. I will
Yeah.
agree with that. But the movie's meh. It's a good continuation of the story, but I think it's on par with the original. I think they're both kind of in that same level of, wow, really cool looking, great idea, execution, it's okay. So, Tron Legacy, tier 2.
All right, would you guys go ahead and tier Oz the Great and Powerful from 2013 and
Aw.
Return to Oz as well? We'll just take them out at one
Well,
swoop.
there's something very special about Oz the Great and Powerful.
There is.
This is the first screening I took Joel to.
It is. It's our first screen together. I'm glad you remembered that. You go to so many screenings with so many people, I didn't think you'd
I
remember.
mean, how could I forget? Because afterwards we talked to a drunk guy for about a half an hour.
That was creepy.
Yeah.
Oz the Great and Powerful, visually fantastic, but weak story, weak dialogue, weak characters.
How did they make Mila Kunis so weak?
So wooden.
Right.
She was just like this wooden actress, and the whole time they're projecting, spoiler alert for 2013, like far back they're projecting that she's going to end up being the Wicked Witch of the West. Like it's so obvious. And then when it finally happens, you're like, yeah, we knew that. I actually wonder how people who haven't watched Wizard of Oz would like this one, but I didn't hate it. And I think, like I said, the visuals are spectacular. So I'm going to give this a tier 2 because it's pretty to watch.
Yeah, it's a Blu-ray movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
that's
makes sense.
Pretty much it. It's a tier 2.
Okay.
Okay.
And then Return to Oz?
And Return to Oz.
It's creepy, and not in a good way. That Hall of Heads still haunts me to this day when all the heads start screaming. And I think that, well, those that were familiar with the books praised it for how close it was of an adaptation. But I don't like this one, and I don't like this one. So I'm going to give it a tier 3 just because it was a severe dislike for me.
I think you're right. It is creepy, but it's in all the right ways.
So opposite of what I said.
Yeah. But it's creepy for the best. I mean, the Wheelers.
Oh, the Wheelers freak people out. I really didn't scare me that much.
They freaked me right out.
It was the Hall of Heads got me.
The Hall of Heads were crazy. I mean, I just thought this movie was bonkers. The fact that Dorothy was crazy and had electroshock therapy.
Yeah, what the heck?
Like, what this does is change everything. It isn't really a Disney movie at all.
The story is, like, Dorothy's considered crazy, be giving electroshock treatments. She ends up going back to Oz.
Like, she is basically rescued.
And she's been lobotomized?
A hellish portal back to Oz.
Yes.
And everything has changed. The Scarecrow is no longer the ruler.
No.
And it's gone astray.
There's a robot named TikTok, and that's the only good thing about it.
But this movie is, like, so unforgettable. It's a tier 1.
You just said tier 2 a second ago.
No, I did not. It's tier 1.
I
didn't say tier 2.
I thought you did.
Nope.
I thought you were
Tier
saying
1.
Tier 1?
Tier 1?
Return to Oz?
Tier 1? You're putting this among the ranks of the greatest live-action Disney movies
I could
of all
go
time?
to anyone on the street and say, hey, Return to Oz, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, that movie.
Or they would say, hey, get away from me, you freak. You just can't walk up to him and say, Return to Oz.
My daughter, she actually watched Wizard of Oz the other day, and she goes,
that
oh, can
movie.
we watch Return to Oz? I'm like, no. Oh, no. And she goes, no, it's like a cartoon. Can we watch that? And I'm like, oh, there's a cartoon. Okay. Then, yeah, possibly.
So, what would you give Wizard of Oz? This isn't a Disney movie, but what would you give Wizard of Oz?
It's a 1.
And you're putting this on par with Wizard of Oz.
Because it's so unique. It's
No.
not just the standard sequel. It mixes
This
with
is
the story.
Never-Ending Story 2.
Stop that right now.
That's essentially what this is.
Stop that.
This is The Wiz.
No, it is not.
Move on down the road.
Jake, you got to see this movie.
I know, you're making me want to. I mean, this is very peculiar.
It's crazy.
All right.
Maybe I'll watch it again one day and change my mind. Right now, it's just tier 3.
All right, let's go. Let's keep moving. Something Wicked This Way Comes from 1983.
This is a movie that I've watched repeatedly throughout my life,
Really?
which is kind of weird. And it's always during the Halloween season because it's about a big circus/carnival that comes into town. Things get dark immediately, and the whole town starts just
It's
disappearing
that whole,
or right.
Be careful what you wish for kind of thing, because like someone wants to be beautiful and they get that wish, but with the catch. And this guy wants a woman and he gets it, but with the catch. So it's all kind of like
That sounds good.
It sounds good. This is a tier 3.
Whoa.
I wasn't a big fan of the novel, to be honest, because I was forced to read it in English class when I was young and forced to analyze it. This reminded me, this brought back memories of that class. And it's just a dull movie. It's boring. And they had to reshoot parts of it. So sometimes the boys are like 8, sometimes they're like 14. Not really. That's just what it seems like. They look drastically different.
It's that noticeable?
Yeah. In the spider scene, watch if you know what I'm talking about. Go back and if you want to go back and watch it, and then watch from when the spider scene, and they look drastically different. The spider scene and the mirror scene, like their faces are longer, like they're older boys at that point.
Huh.
But the movie's just dull, and the scary parts are not that scary. I may have been frightened by this one as a kid, but watching it again, it's dull and boring, and it's a tier 3.
Kent?
It's a tier 1.
I was
come
waiting for
on.
that.
It's a straight up tier 1.
You're trolling me.
I'm not at all.
What is happening
This
here?
movie sticks with you.
No.
Yeah, like when they go on the carousel that reverses time, but there's always a consequence. Like basically this movie is like Faustian. It's making a deal with the devil, and it is really be careful what you wish for. And Jonathan Pryce is Mr. Dark, is the carnival leader. He is creepy as all get out. He's perfect in this
okay.
movie. I think it's the opposite of bland. I think
I prefer him in Tomorrow Never Dies.
This is kind of like a Tom and Huck sort of thing, but Tom and Huck in a dark circus.
Jim Nightshade.
So-
That's one of the kids' names.
I hope this is your new Gallivant.
It may be the new
Really?
You're
You're going to bring that up?
You can't let it go.
No, you can't.
No, Jake, I recommend you watch this one. It is a Halloween movie, and it's Disney, so it's lighter.
Read the book.
I actually will have to watch this one because my wife's been asking me to watch it for like 3 weeks now for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
If you want a scary Disney, go with Watcher in the Woods. That's the better one.
I need to see that as well, actually.
You gave Watcher in the Woods a tier 1?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
So you're putting this on par with Watcher in the Woods?
Yes.
You're insane. Go ride a carousel.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
All right. Let's go to the Muppets.
Okay, so this one we actually did combine.
Yeah, so which one? Because there are a pantheon of Muppet
Okay, well,
movies.
okay, let me just
and
ask
there's
you.
Well, no,
yes.
just
Of the new ones,
Just
are they going to get
the
different
Muppets.
rankings?
Yes, they
tier?
are.
Okay, well
Yeah,
then
'cause
let's start with...
we're not going to talk about the Muppet movie and Muppet Caper and things like that. We're basically just talking about
The remakes,
Muppets,
I'm saying.
The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted.
Yeah.
So I love the first reboot. That got, I think, my highest rated of that year when I watched it. I really enjoyed it. I hated the sequel. That was a tier 3. So tier 1, Tier 3.
Wow.
Tier 1, Tier 3.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, high fives.
I just coughed in my hand.
Oh. Thanks, Kent.
Yep.
The first one captured the magic. The second one was a cash grab. I saw the first one on a Disney cruise for the first time, and that may have enhanced the experience.
I'm sure it did.
Really good.
It
movie.
was just a cute and clever movie.
It was, and it felt nostalgic. Like, yeah, I remember how fun they were, and now both with Muppets Most Wanted and the TV show, it's kind of like, yeah, welcome back, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never actually watched the sequel.
No need.
It was like, that looks really,
An
uninspired.
evil Kermit comes to take over.
Yeah. Which,
I was like, Tina Fey's on there. I don't know.
Right.
No,
I know
they-
you're a big fan of Tina Fey.
even Phil Dunphy.
I used to actually appreciate her.
They had Phil Dunphy on there.
Until
Who was he?
Sisters.
Yeah. Oh, God. Bring up Sisters. Worst movie.
Gallivant.
All right, so 1-3, we agree.
Yep. Watch Gallivant. So the Black Hole, 1979.
Did you just say watch Gallivant? Was that a subliminal message?
It was.
He said watch Gallivant, and then he said it's a black hole. And so let's talk about
That's
the black
right.
hole.
Yeah, you'll get lost. You'll never want to come out.
Kent, you want to go first on this one?
So when did it come out again, Black Hole?
1979.
It's weird that this movie looks like it came out 1953 instead of 1979.
Yes. When you think about 2001: A Space Odyssey coming out almost a decade before,
Right.
and looking really like they were in space, compared to this one where you can see the wires.
It's so dated.
It's terribly dated. And I was excited to see Anthony Perkins in a new role too, but Ernest Borgnine.
Right.
Marty.
This movie, it has all the excitement of Star Trek, the motion picture.
Ugh.
Having never seen it, what's that reference mean?
It means, like, that is the most boring, like, it does some weird things with theology / matter. It's so stupid. I can't even describe it.
Plot point. Let me give the plot synopsis. This is basically the same plot as Interstellar, where they park a ship outside of a black hole. And then Matthew McConaughey's there. And I'm pretty sure that's how the movie went, right?
Yeah?
I fell asleep.
That's right.
No, this movie is
Except for there's a
bland.
really cheesy robot.
Oh, God, yeah. Slim Pickens and, who was the other one?
Are we talking about Interstellar now, or are we talking about...
No, because the
Roddy
robots in
McDowell.
Interstellar
Roddy
are
McDowell.
awesome.
Yeah, Black Hole.
That's
Roddy
true. That was
McDowell
the
and
best
Slim
part.
Pickens are the robots. And I remember liking the robots as a kid, but the movie really is... It tries to do like a...
They find a utopia, basically. And it's led by this crazy guy, like much
similar
of these movies.
similar to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Yes.
This megalomaniac leader who's named I can't remember his name, but his real name's Maximilian, the actor is. But then they realize that everything he's doing is not exactly up to par. But it's just I had vague memories of this movie as a kid. I really should have left it in the past.
It's strange they tried to make a science fiction movie like this back in like close to 1980. This is post Star Wars.
Did you guys give it a tier?
Tier 3.
Tier 3.
All right. Okay, what the crap is Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Darby O'Gill! Oh, she is my dear, my darling one, her eyes so sparkling full of fun, no other can match the likes of her.
So in 1959, this movie came out. It's about a wily old codger who matches wits with the king of the leprechauns and helps play matchmaker for his daughter and the strapping lad who has replaced him as caretaker.
Let's just skip.
No, I tell you what, this is a
You
family.
got so excited.
This is a family classic. I sing Pretty Irish Girl to my kids. Like, they know that tune. I sing it all the time to them. The Banshee made me cry. It terrified me as a kid.
Yep.
Sean Connery's one of his first roles. This is actually the role that landed him the job in Dr. No. This gave him Bond.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, one of the producers saw him in that or something like that and wanted him to be Bond. I think that the special effects even hold up pretty well. They used a lot of forced perspective to make the leprechaun see small, and there are scenes where I'm like, wow, how did they even do that back then? Because this is 1959.
Yeah.
And I had a crush on Katie in the movie. Katie! This movie is a tier 1 if ever there were a tier 1 on this list. I would
Wow.
give it tier 1.
This is the top of the top.
Well, of this list, it's up there, yes.
Up there or the top?
I'm talking about the previous show. There may have been better, but I really love Darby and the Little People. And it is almost complete nostalgia, but I love this movie.
Did you watch it recently?
Yes.
Okay. You watch it all the time.
I watch this almost every March.
Ooh, something's coming.
Because I watched this the other day. Because I remember the Banshee being freaky. And I was like,
Ooh, let me get a stabbing tool out.
a stabbing tool?
Just in case.
Is that a plastic knife?
It's a plastic fork.
So
Joel is actually holding a plastic fork.
I'm going to have to give this movie a tier 1.
I knew you were I knew you were going to say that.
This is a tier 1 Disney live action movie.
Tier 4.
Are you being serious right now?
I haven't seen it.
No.
I hadn't even heard of it. It's the stupidest title I've ever heard, though.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Yes.
It's so good.
No, this is kind of like an Aladdin story,
Watch this for St. Patrick's.
except for the
All right.
guy. Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's some trouble. There's some drama, and there's a little bit of supernatural element.
There's a
at the
little
end.
village, which you can relate to because you grew up in a little village, where this guy
That's fair.
wants to continually... he keeps looking for the king of the leprechauns. And so but everyone in the town makes fun of him.
King Brian.
And when he finally catches him, everyone else sees him as a rabbit. Like, he can transform his image. Then everyone still thinks he's crazy. And he's going to lose his farm and things like that. And Sean Connery, the farmhand, comes in to kind of take over. So it's actually got a story to it. It's not just great music.
It all sounds crazy.
It's great.
All right. Speaking of weird titles, Babes in Toyland?
I thought I had seen this movie. I thought I had. And then I was watching it going, no, I've never
Have you seen the
this
Keanu
movie.
Reeves one?
No.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves, Drew Barrymore. Who else was
The
in
special
that one?
web edition? I think that's
Pat
what he saw,
Morita.
probably.
Pat Morita's in
Pat
it?
Morita was the reboot. That was the 1986.
Wait, what do you mean special web edition?
I don't know.
Jake?
Something a little sultry,
It's
probably?
a Jacob joke.
Okay.
But this
I
is
love Jacob jokes.
I thought I'd seen it, but
That's
it turns
never
out,
been a thing.
It is.
Jacob Twist?
Jacob
Jacob
jokes.
Prank?
It turns out that this movie, I had a book of it, like a little golden book kind of thing of it, and that's why I knew some elements, but I didn't know where it went. But this movie is kind of a mess, and I'm sorry, but this is a bad movie. The music isn't memorable. The story is flat. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They're going from Toyland to all of a sudden kind of a Christmassy movie, and the main villain actually is the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
Really?
The actor.
Barnaby?
Yeah, Barnaby is the same actor who did the Scarecrow Wizard of Oz. So it was just weird, and I have to give this one a tier 3. I know it's beloved by many, but
This is basically Into the Woods before there was Into the Woods because they sing. It's all about like Mother Goose characters, that sort of thing.
yes,
And-
obvious puppet Mother Goose characters.
right? And they sing the entire time. Like the first half of the movie is all music
So why is it called Babes in Toyland?
because eventually they get to the Christmas town and it's Toyland.
Yeah, there's like a
There are
Santa
kids
Claus
there.
wannabe, and they make toys, and they have a shrinking Ray and a growing Ray, and
So
then-
it's kids in a
And-
weird
and-
Toyland.
Kate Upton shows up and
Ha!
she's scantily clad.
Annette Funicello actually sings a whole song about how she can't do math, and that's sad. I can't do the sum.
Oh, my.
I gave this a tier 2
Why?
because the last 20 minutes there is a pretty fun like last battle. It's like there's a shrink ray and basically they're fighting Barnaby with like toy soldiers and toy planes and everything, a toy tank, stuff like that. And it was actually really, really fun. Like I was kind of bored the whole way through. That last battle really sold me.
And that
It made
brought it up to tier 2.
It did.
Yeah, we're going to disagree on that.
All right, we've only got a few left. Let's move a little quicker through them. Condor Man, 1981.
Condor Man, dun 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 dun. Keep going, Ken. Dun dun dun. Just keep talking. Condor Man, dun dun dun.
I'll wait for you.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is one of Joel's favorite movies. In fact,
Yeah,
he holds this so true that he told me the other day his family quotes it maybe once every day.
No, well, that's the thing is in the movie there's these. It's about a writer of comic books who ends up kind of he's a civil. They need a civilian to kind of do this CIA mission. His buddy's a CIA agent, so they say, "Hey, we need a civilian to do this mission." And he says, "Okay, I'll do it if you give me what's in my comic books." And so they give him all the equipment and costumes that are in his comic books, and then he can be kind of this super spy superhero. And the Russian spies that are trying to stop him, he's trying to get a Russian agent to defect or help a Russian agent defect.
Natalia.
And there's bad guys that chase him, and I'm going to way too much detail, but that's the plot synopsis.
Okay.
But there's a scene where one of the Russian guys says "сейчас," which means now in Russian. I learned that like in college, years after I'd seen this movie. But my brothers and I interpreted it as "let's go," and we didn't know exactly what he said because he said "сейчас," but we heard "shasha." So now me and my brothers, whenever we want to say "let's go," we say "shasha" to each other.
That's funny.
It's brother code.
Yeah.
And I can quote this movie by heart. I'm not kidding.
Could you start now?
I could. Like certain
Can you
lines.
speak like Michael Crawford? Because he talks like this in every scene.
He does.
He overacts.
He does.
Yeah,
He does.
that's his
He's
thing.
the founder of the opera, so he will.
Oliver
But, yeah.
Reed plays the villain, which was really surprising to
And
me.
all the bus stations and all the world you like, I hate. Give me the hat and trench coat. What? No. Woody, you were hired because you were a civilian. All right, but please let me keep the coat. It gives me confidence. Stuff like that. These lines are part of my history. This movie is part of my history. And I was surprised. As a kid, I loved the action sequences. As an adult, I was surprised to learn I also liked the story. Apparently, Oliver Reed, who's the main bad guy in this, was insane to work with. like getting drunk, throwing his costumes in the
kinda how he
river,
was.
trying to push the main girl out of a helicopter, things like that.
That's normal.
Normal. But this is a tier 1 movie for me.
Get out of my helicopter.
I know it's not a good movie, but it is so much nostalgia that I cannot deny it's a tier 1.
Kent.
Kent, you write comic books.
Condor Man is one of the worst Disney live-action movies ever made.
Oh, no.
It's an easy tier 3.
This is just sad.
I am so sorry to say this,
You're
Joel.
not sorry.
I'm pretty happy to be saying this right now.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Like, I'm watching this movie, and I'm trying to watch it with, like, Joel's eyes when he was a kid, being like, okay, I can see why I like this, because it's basically an accidental spy story.
Yeah.
It's called Condor Man, but it's really like, I'm the man who knew too little.
No.
And somehow, I'm able to karate chop my way out of every time.
He doesn't karate
these
chop.
super spies are about to kill me. He, like, basically, it's Three Stooges.
No.
The spy movie.
Yeah, he's not karate chopping his way. He's a klutz who has a briefcase. He turns around and hits a guy in the face. That's not karate chopping.
Throughout the movie. Like, car chase scenes.
It's an awesome car chase scene.
But it's always like
He has this
accidentally
old truck.
these
They're
other
driving through
cars
the mountain-
blew up, or these other boats
They're
blew
driving
up.
through the mountains of Yugoslavia in an old truck, and then these bad guys in Porsches come up behind him. He pushes a button, the seat of the old truck lowers down, and then they shoot out in a sports car, in this like superhero
It
car.
is like every other movie made in the 80s. I mean, with a movie like Spies Like Us out, why would you ever watch Condor Man?
Especially when you can
This
watch
is
John
the-
Carter, right, Kent?
This is the dumbest. I'd watch John Carter 9 times over Condor
I'm sure
Man
you would, and
again.
that's why I'm a better person.
Remember when I started this one with "Let's start going faster"? This is
I'm
like
sorry,
the longest
Joel.
one ever.
I will probably watch this again because I want to see how you think this.
Well, and keep in
Because-
mind, Kent watched some pieced together, fuzzy, awful audio version he found on YouTube somewhere, or Putlocker.
No, I didn't watch the Italian one. I just watched the downloaded one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, me and Kanye West, we download stuff. So
I like how you follow him now.
no, it's terrible.
It's not terrible.
Like it's so terrible it shouldn't even be considered Disney.
This is Disney. This is good
You
Disney.
guys won't be able to clap on your next 3 agreeing. I don't think,
I don't think
it'll
so.
take a little while now.
This is tier 3.
My favorite
tier
movie in
one.
the
No,
world.
it's like- 'cause
the
it feels-
worst
You keep
movie.
defending
It has
something
a-
wicked. Okay, you watch Something Wicked This Way Comes. You watch Condor Man. Condor Man is going to thrill you
It
more.
has Jake. It has a 15-minute long intro where it's a cartoon of Condor Man flying around Paris, and it's like Condor Man. He's all,
dun, dun,
"Wah,
dun, dun,
wah,"
dun.
and then you're like, oh, this will be kind of a cool superhero movie. Nope, he wears the suit twice, and really, he's just a spy who bumbles his way into love and survival.
He's not a spy. He's a comic book guy. He's a writer of comic
It has
books.
nothing to do with comic books.
Tell me more about the
Zero.
love.
It's
Natalia's beautiful. You'll like that.
in the 1980s. She was pretty.
All right.
It's the dumbest
You just keep
movie.
watching
We're
your
going ahead.
you
We're
keep
moving
watching your
ahead.
John Carter and your Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I will, thankfully.
All right. The Mighty Ducks.
I
Mighty
can't
Ducks.
even go on from there because Condor Man.
It's a childhood favorite, and I don't even like hockey that much. Apparently, Jake Gyllenhaal was up for the main role, but his parents wouldn't let him do it.
Really?
I thought that would have made
Okay.
a very different movie. This was a classic when I was a kid. It was a childhood favorite. I really have not gone back and watched it, so I'm going to give it a tier 2.
Isn't it weird that Coach Bombay was like troubled because he lost a game back when he was 9?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure we'll talk about this movie again when we do sports movies, but it's kind of a weird plot, but it's really, really fun. It's a tier 2.
Yeah. At tier 2, I think.
All right.
By the way, in the UK, South Africa, and Australia, it was called just The Champions. And then when they re-released it, it was called The Mighty Ducks Are the Champions. I don't know why, but
Spoiler alert, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Thanks.
fun, that's a Joel fun fact.
Because it's in Australia.
Right.
All right. Sorcerer's Apprentice, 2010. Just quickly.
Terrible.
Nicolas Cage actually came up with the idea for this movie.
Yeah.
No, because
Which
Is that
shows you
true?
it shows you what kind of movie it is.
no, he was inspired by obviously the sketch in Fantasia,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's the wizard. He's kind of basically Merlin.
Yeah, the plot point is this kid is apparently the Merlininer or whatever they call him.
So this was not based on some YA book.
No, although it kind of seems like it.
It really seems
It
like
really feels like it. But then he stumbles upon Nicolas Cage, who's a wizard who apparently can make up his powers at will. I can do this now. This is a half-baked movie. It rushes from plot point to plot point without letting anything sink in. It's like, oh, all of a sudden we're here. Oh, all of a sudden he's a wizard. Oh, all of a sudden now the bad guy's here.
Yeah.
The effects are kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, there's some visual effects, but it
And
seems like
Jay
they're making-
Baruchel, who plays the apprentice, kind of good.
he was the only good part.
Yeah.
But they seem to be making up the rules as they go along. It's like, hey, magic can't do this, but we can do this now. It's like there's no sort of progression. It's like...
And Nicolas Cage wasn't crazy enough in the role. If you went full Cage, it would have been a better movie.
Maybe.
So it's a tier 3.
This is a tier 3.
Yeah, that seems fair. All right, Absent-Minded Professor from 1961.
Absent-Minded Professor is this is actually the first Disney film to have a sequel because it was so successful. And this is a favorite of mine as a kid, and so I'm going to give this one a tier 1 because this is another one that I know and love and quote on occasion. And I think the remake was absolutely unnecessary. I think Flubber was a tier 3.
This was another one of those movies where a guy stumbles onto something, somehow gets a magical power, whether it's a flying car or he helps kids bounce, and then he cheats his way through the movie. It's a tier 3.
What the heck?
It's a tier 3. I think Flubber's a better movie. I seriously do.
Why are you doing this? You're intentionally jabbing me.
No, I'm not. I actually didn't. I like the lead in Absent-Minded Professor, the movie itself. Kind of bland.
My gosh.
Because everyone's like,
fun.
I can't even look
no,
at you.
because the whole
becoming
movie,
more fun.
I can't even look at you.
The whole movie is like, I'm the one that created the stuff to help the kids bounce. And everyone else is like, no, they're just bouncing on their own. They're like bouncing 40 feet in the air. No, that was me. I did that.
Stupid.
I need funding for the school. That's a fun plot.
You know what's a fun plot? Barsoom is in trouble. We have no way of finding help. Oh, this man can bounce. Everything is saved.
You know what's a fun plot? Hey, Condor Man, you happen to be in France when I need an American
You're
spy.
just mad because he's a published comic book writer and you're not.
Man, this is getting personal fast.
It's really rude.
You want to make fun of his face now, Kent? Or
No, I don't do that.
Okay.
I don't sink that low.
All right.
Where do we go?
Let's go to Pollyanna.
Oh,
Actually,
Pollyanna.
that'll probably heal things.
Yes, it will.
That was my thought.
Because I thought I'd seen this movie. I hadn't.
Same.
It's very slow, but strangely likable. In fact, they have a thing called the Pollyanna Principle, and it's the tendency for people to remember pleasant items more accurately than unpleasant ones. It's actually a psychological thing. And it's impossible to hate this movie. Like, it really, Pollyanna, Haley Mills as Pollyanna really does win you over. And even if the movie's it is slow, it's a solid tier 2.
No, it's strange because I didn't want to like this movie because it's so old-fashioned. It's 2.5 hours. And this entire town, they hate each other.
And it starts with a butt.
It does start with the kid's butt.
In the very opening scene.
That was the best when Joel's like, there's nudity in Pollyanna. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the kid's butt is not what I expected when he said it like that.
Right.
But yeah.
But, the whole town, they don't like each other, but they're united by the end, and it's kind of a pretty story.
It's a heartwarming story.
It's a tier 2.
I actually, my wife, when we watched this one, I was mad at her because of where the story went. And I was like, it's going to end sad, isn't it? And then something happened, and I was like glaring at her. She's like, stop looking at me. It's not my fault.
Right.
Enchanted. Ella Enchanted?
No.
I'll go first. Came out in 2000. It's about Giselle, an animated princess who gets lost in New York in search for a true love's kiss. 3 of the songs were nominated for Best Original Song in the Oscars that year.
Yes.
This is a tier 1.
I would agree. This is a tier 1. I really like this movie. I wish I liked Amy Adams more.
Oh, you're crazy. She owned this movie.
No,
This
she did.
is
No,
Amy
this
Adams.
movie.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying she was fine. And then it was later movies. Now I can't go back and watch this one the same because Julie and Julia ruined Amy Adams for me. I couldn't stand her in that movie, and it really did ruin it. So,
Julie and Julia ruined Amy Adams?
yeah.
That's weird.
No,
right?
her role, I don't know what it was about just that character, and I just could not, I just really disliked that character.
How
And so now,
does she know that you love
but this
her?
movie's fun. Apparently when it was written back in the 90s, it was a racier rated R movie.
What?
Before Disney picked it up, and then Disney picked it up and turned it into what it is.
I just think it's an adorable movie. If my kids want to watch a Disney movie, it's typically this one because I'm like...
Although I want them to watch all the other ones because then they'll get this one even more. You know what I mean?
I think it's unfair that Giselle is not a Disney classic princess.
It's because if they did make her a Disney princess, they would have to give like lifetime rights to Amy Adams.
Oh, okay.
And so it's in her likeness. And
Right.
so they had to kind of nix that as one of the official princesses.
Newsies.
Tier 1. It's a tier 1.
You're only saying that because you were threatened with your life.
It's a tier 1. My wife told me it was a tier 1, and it's a tier 1.
How do you really feel?
It's a tier 1.
How do you really feel?
Is there a tier above 1?
Stop that.
I didn't see this until college, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it was because we were doing a parody of it for Divine Comedy called Zoobies, which is actually on YouTube. But my wife claims she went to see Divine Comedy shows, and she claims that she remembers me in this show. It wasn't like, she knew then that she was going to marry me or anything like that. Well, maybe. But she didn't admit it. Because she just said that she remembered me from that show. And I thought that was kind of funny that this movie kind of brought us together. I like the music. I'm not the audience, but it's good. This is a fun movie. And Christian Bale, who's in the movie as Jack, this is about the Newsy strike of 1899, newspaper boys. But Christian Bale has acknowledged that while it was not a commercial success, because it actually was one of Disney's biggest flops, live-action flops at that time, its fan base is surprisingly large. Bale said, quote, "You say something bad about Newsies, and you have an awful lot of people to answer to, especially if you live in Utah."
Right. It is a big Utah favorite.
So what tier was it again?
Tier 1.
Do you mean that?
Tier 1.
Do you mean that?
Tier 1. Moving on.
You can't say anything? Because this is an easy tier 1. This is a great movie.
It's a tier 1.
Stop that.
He's just mocking you now, Ken.
No. The truth is, I was giving this a high 2, but then in the end, I'm like, I have these songs on my iPod. Like, I like this song. I like the songs a lot. And the movie is fun. So I'm going to give it a tier 1 officially.
Can I move on, or do you want to say some stuff?
It's just such a tier 1.
Okay.
It's I could sing this music right now.
Would you?
In fact, I'm about to. But you should move on.
All right.
Santa Fe, are you there?
Touching.
There should have been more singing. There was so much singing last episode. Everyone's going to be like,
Well,
wait,
you
man,
know,
these guys
lost our
just
voices.
talk all the time.
My voice is gone. Can't just crush my spirit. So let's move on.
All right. Escape to Witch Mountain, 1975. Not, The Rock.
I confused when we were watching this one. I was confusing it with the sequel when they get hypnotized. So I really hadn't seen this one before I watched it for this show, and I don't know if I ever saw it before. But I don't want to watch it again. It wasn't good. It's
Tier
a
3?
3.
Wow.
I'm told by others that it's a great movie, but it's a tier 3.
It really isn't that good. And
There's one kind of fun scene where they're making all the toys dance in the room.
Yeah, and I like the scene where they make where the collar glowed on the one kid and it made the other people levitate.
Yeah. But
Sounds like a cat I know.
That was the cat from Outer Space.
See, that's it? Seriously?
That's what I got from
Because
that.
seriously, it was just kind of like, hey, these kids are aliens, sort of.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
Well, come on.
No, truth, I didn't know that. I for instance, Escape to Witch Mountain, I thought they were witchcraft or something like that.
Right.
And it wasn't until like midway into the movie I went, oh my gosh, they're aliens. I didn't even realize that. So it was a surprise to me.
Spoilers, guys. Spoilers.
Sorry?
All right. Let's go on. Saving Mr. Banks.
Saving Mr. Banks.
Tier 2.
Tier 3.
Tier 3?
I couldn't stand P.L. Travers as a character, and I thought Walt Disney character was like this smooth salesman trying to pull one over. I didn't like either one of the characters. I'd rather watch Mary Poppins. I'm not going to watch Saving Mr. Banks again.
Mary Poppins is like the gold standard, but this one at least gives some background, whether it may be true or
Some
not.
fictionalized background, but yeah.
But it's kind of nice. I mean, Tom Hanks was Tom Hanks, but it still humanizes Walt Disney, which we've never really seen before.
I think he's a robot.
Yeah.
He may be a robot.
Or an alien.
In the Hall of the Presidents.
We're going to find out halfway through he's an alien.
Right. Did you like this, Jake?
I haven't seen it, actually.
Oh, okay.
This is not good.
Yeah. Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday, the 1976 one. My wife actually thought Jodie Foster was a boy.
Oh.
When she watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
This isn't just new, but she thought it was a boy. And Jodie Foster actually was up for Star Wars and was going to be Princess Leia, but she was still under contract from Disney for this movie, and so she couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of sad.
I know.
That's too bad.
But this was actually the first in a string of body swapping movies that you know, like I can't think of like what's the one with Fred Savage and the other one with like Kirk Cameron. Like they have all these these body swap movies after this one. This is the one that started it. I really like this one. This is a tier 1.
All right.
It's tier 2.
Yeah. We're good.
We're not going to argue anymore.
No.
All right. Let me check here. I think this is the last one.
Yeah, why are you ending on this one?
Last one. The world's greatest athlete.
Seriously, you're ending on this one?
I have a Jacob twist after this, so that'll help. But
A Jacob twist.
But I've been putting this off.
So the world's greatest athlete was one of the stupid ones that I watched as a kid. It's the premise is this coach goes to Africa and finds this guy, a white guy,
Tarzan, basically.
Tarzan, who can run faster than a cheetah. So then he brings him back. This is one of the few track and field inspirational sports movies, maybe for good reason.
Right.
And there's also a voodoo element and a voodoo doll with Tim Conway, which as a kid was hilarious. So
And BYU is featured.
it is?
Yeah. The BYU track and field team.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I have to go back and watch it officially then, because I was doing this one mostly by memory. I gave it a tier 2.
No, this movie's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
It's fine. You can bash on this one.
Yeah, it's Tarzan doing track and field.
So tier 1.
But didn't you like it at the end when he went to China and he found another athlete?
Right.
Come
'Cause
on.
He learned his lesson. It's a tier 3.
Tier 3.
All right. Do you have more you want to say about the world's greatest cheetah athlete?
No.
Remember when I said most of these movies are tier 2, and then I gave most of them a tier 3?
Yeah, I remember that.
You had a few ones, though.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of those, pick 3 movies, each of you, that if you have to only pick 3, what are the best ones?
Out of these?
This is like what people should watch.
Out
Of this list only, what should people watch out of this list? You get 3 movies.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People, definitely. Swift's Family Robinson, definitely. And I'm going to say The Muppets, definitely.
The Muppets.
Yeah.
2011 Muppets?
Yeah.
Those are your 3.
I'm looking at the ones here, and those are the ones that I can recommend. Is like, oh no, I take it back. Enchanted will be the third one instead of the Muppets.
Okay, let me guess. Kint's. It's going to be what was the Oz one? Return to Oz.
So mine would be Condor Man.
You bring that up, but it just makes me hate you more.
Mine would be Enchanted, Newsies, and
all right, listener. So whatever these guys say. If you want to go back and watch
Swiss
live
Family
action,
Robinson.
Okay.
Oh, no Return to Oz.
So we had 2 of the same ones then.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was yours again, Joel?
It was Enchanted, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and Swiss Family Robinson.
So you guys agree on 2 of the 3?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's high five worthy.
No.
2 of 3?
Joel.
Seriously, from the whole list, 2
Joel,
of 3?
Let's wrap it up.
That was good.
Wrap it up.
High five, Joel.
You wrap it up. Give us a high five.
Thank you,
high
listener,
five.
for listening and letting us know what you think. Let us know where we're wrong. Let us know where we're right. Please go donate on our GoFundMe page.
Can't believe he's snubbing you, Ken.
No.
What a snub.
You can find me at 786Joel on Twitter.
Just touch
or
his
you can
face
also
with your
find me
hand.
at QuickWits at QWComedy.com.
Hi, Joel.
Hi.
Can you give me a high five?
You keep saying time,
All
Joel.
of
It's
the
your
show
own
quick.
fault. You're like Condor Man, and I won't give high fives.
High five for
I've
Condor
already
Man.
signed out, guys.
Okay. You can find me at Twitter and Instagram at Kenny3DD, and my movie review website is ShowtimeShowdown.com.
All right, you can find me on Twitter at Jacob A. Rogers. And if you want a young adult book, go look for my book on Amazon. It's called Stand Alone.
It's a great book. And until next time, open the gates for Baconsale. See you next time.
Mars is not called Mars. It is called Barsoom. But Kent, he killed him a burr when he was only 3.
I think you're being a little harsh.
So's your face.
If I was voting, Kent would win.
Yeah.
Okay, what the crap is Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
Darby O'Gill! I'm related to Davy Crockett. My wife told me it was a tier 1, and it's a tier 1.
Tell me about the cat from outer space.
This could be our exorcist. Because it doesn't seem real that I could meet my number 1 celebrity crush. Mom, you lied to me.
Oh, no.
I mean, you're stranded on a desert island. Your grandpa's captured by pirates. You're going to hit on every boy there, so. There are a lot of good-looking guys. There's only one Tim Riggins. Oh.
Based on Joel's reaction, he really enjoyed this.
I can tell.
Bring that up, but it just makes me hate you more. Let me get a stabbing tool out.
A stabbing tool?
Just in case.